Rick Green once again. Is John Bolton right? Can Trump beat the DOJ politically on the raid on his home?
Yeah, Greg, I think the poll that you just showed proves that. Look, this is the most corrupt, Department of Justice we've ever seen. They turn themselves on the American people. Merrick Garland has said that you as a parent, if you don't want your child to be groomed at school, if you don't want your daughter to be raped in a bathroom at your school because of bad policies the president has been supporting, Merrick Garland thinks you're a domestic terrorist if you speak up against those things at a school board meeting. So don't be surprised that he goes after the president of the United States that prevented Merrick Garland from serving on the United States Supreme Court. That's what this is really all about. There's a lot of revenge happening here. So I think the Department of Justice doesn't have a chance against Donald Trump. It's going to be ugly, though. I think they're going to do everything they can to destroy the man. I just don't think they're capable.
All right. Speaking of revenge, Jack Posobiec said that the Stop Trump movement has become a proxy war of the establishment versus the people. What do you think?
Yeah, and Jack's right. And that's why the DOJ can't defeat Trump, because Trump has the American people with him. They realize, as he said, I guess about a year and a half ago, that these deep staters are actually after us. He's just in the way. So, yeah, I think Jack's absolutely right about that.
All right, Rick, Lake Mead and Lake Powell are essential reservoirs for the West, for water for those people. Both of them are down 75%. So can Biden and the federal government rescue the citizens in Arizona, Nevada, and New Mexico with their climate bills?
It'll never happen, Greg. All of the radical environmental agendas that have been pushed through government, they've never worked. They've never accomplished what they're trying to do because they're trying to be God. The Endangered Species Act has always been a failure. All of these climate change efforts have always been a failure, partly because they're based on just bad science and not a recognition of how the earth actually works and the way that God created it, but also because they're just bad policies put in the hands of bureaucrats who have no personal stake in that actual land. That's why private property is always better than government-owned property or government-controlled property.
To that point, here's something else. Lake Mead and Lake Powell are energy producers, and they're running at a low level now where they're not going to be able to produce electricity through the turbines, and everybody's supposed to buy electric cars.
Yeah, and let alone how the batteries are made for those electric cars. I mean, it's just a shell game for these people. It's all about power. It's all about control. And people are realizing that. I mean, they're starting to put the math together. They're starting to see the lack of common sense in these policies. The problem we've got, Greg, is that they don't feel the pain of the bill, right? It's hidden in all these federal taxes, these huge trillion-dollar budgets, and these $700 billion bills that we saw them celebrating and clapping about earlier. And people don't even make that connection to their tax bill and the money that's taken out before they even get their check. That's why education is so important, and teaching people the proper role of government is so important, and how these out-of-control deficits are actually hurting their own pocketbooks and now hurting them with inflation.
All right. Now, the attacker of a hospitalized subway cleaning worker was released from jail. He's been released 40 times before for criminal acts. So is New York City beyond safety and even hope at this point?
No, and I think Andrew Klavan reminded me of this when he spoke at Patriot Academy a couple of weeks ago at the Texas Capitol. You know, he said, listen, I was in New York when it was a cesspool before. Crime was everywhere. You couldn't walk down the street. And when Rudy Giuliani came in and implemented his broken windows policies, and they actually started implementing good law enforcement, they actually started preventing these crimes, that he completely turned the city around. So it's all about leadership. If the people in New York want to stop this nonsense and stop this crime wave, they need to elect a mayor that will actually go back to those policies of Rudy Giuliani, which are just basic American values and rule of law, all the things that made America great in the first place. But it's up to the people of New York to make that happen. And right now they're destroying the city, and nobody wants to go visit there either. So it's hurting their tourism as well.
And enforce the laws that are already on the books. Our friends at Prager University spoke with a young man on a college campus who believed the border wall was racist. But wait, there's more. Watch this.
Would you say that you're fine with people like criminals and such coming into the country?
Well, obviously not, but I mean, obviously if people are coming illegally, you can't screen that, but...
So would you want to stop criminals coming into the country?
Well, yeah, but...
You think a border wall would help stop them?
Yeah, but I don't think I would want a border wall.
So are young people today even beyond any reason on college campuses?
Well, that one might be, but Greg, let me encourage you, man. I just had 200 folks at Patriot Academy's Leadership Congress. Y'all saw it here on that Friday, and those kids are full of reason because they have biblical wisdom. And that's the problem with most of these college campuses. There's no biblical wisdom being taught, only the secular progressive left. And that's what you end up with is that kid you just saw the interview with.
Yeah. Well, thank you for doing your part to right the ship, if you will. Rick, we'll be back in a moment.